Okay, well, back in the shop again. I just wanted to give you a update on what's going on with me. I've been out of commission for a while. I've been real busy working. Haven't had time to make any videos. So now we're back in the shop for the winter, and I just finally got all of this casting machine business set up. My spin caster over here. And I got a new machine. I went up to Rhode Island to pick it up. I got the furnace there. That's with the hood, you know, and take the fumes in, the heat out mostly. And then over here, down here, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can see it there. That's the press, which presses the molds together. I got a nice stand set up for that. I made a nice bench. And this is where I'll do all my white metal casting. And I'm very happy about that and pleased with it. I'm going to be making some, as far as the MERCER locomotive and supply line goes, I'm going to be reissuing the reefer hardware, which was a big seller for me. A lot of my other little parts like stairs, steps for the locomotive and so on. You know, I have nothing against the lost wax deal. That's got a place, but my personal thoughts are that I can make them out of this good quality die cast metal and get a very good quality sharp looking part as far as the detail, and once it's painted you would never know the difference between it being white metal or bronze, but you're going to know the difference in your pocketbook because it's going to be a third of the price of the brass. So for instance, if a stair step is $15, I'm going to be able to sell it for $5. Now wouldn't you rather pay $5 than $15 for a little step? And nobody's going to know whether it's brass or white metal. And I've used it many times before. It melts at 900 degrees, which is about half the temperature of brass. But 900 degrees, the smoke box don't get that hot. And you can use it for the door dogs. You can use it for a lot of different detail parts, and I'm going to be making a lot of those now. Just recently, I received a SolidWorks program. Now, I'm just learning it. I just spent 2 years learning how to work with AutoCAD, and I'm pretty good on that now. And now I got to learn it all over again with SolidWorks, but it's not that much of a learning curve because it's basically the same. I just got to find out where all the little different icons are to be able to do the different things I want to do. But the advantage is going to be that I can get rapid prototypes made, and there's a company out there that can make them in metal. So the idea is I can get them made in metal, check them out, make sure they work and whatnot, and then from there I get to have a lost wax casting made and multiply, you know, for the multiplication of parts. All right, so that's the area here for the casting. This unit up here on the wall is called the part low. What that does is it tells you the temperature of the metal. It reads the temperature, and you got to keep it at a certain temperature. It's reading down the middle of the pot. What I have to get is a temperature gauge so I can tell what the top is, because that's where I'm scooping the metal from. And of course, you put it in the mold here, in the mold spin. And this is a mold that I use for making the. This is the one I use for making the. Window frame, window strips on either side of the windows, and here's a one here that was done. There was a failure right in here, but it was, the idea is that the 9-inch mold is a little too small for that. So what I want to do is get a 12-inch mold. I just got the frame for here, much bigger mold, and I'll be able to put them in a different type of arrangement in there, more radial. So when it spins, it just goes right in as it goes around right in. And that ought to work out. I'm making the springs, the dummy leaf springs, and I'm doing a lot of different little pieces. These are hinges that I made up for, I made up these for making the battery boxes on the new cars that I'm building. Now the other thing I have here, over here, this is a wax injector that I got. It melts. It's like a crock pot, basically. It melts the wax in this chamber. It's pressurized with 10, 15 pounds of air here. And then on the front here, there's a little nozzle that when it's hot, you can push the mold against that, and it shoots the wax into the mold. And that's how you make some of the wax injections. And I'm going to be doing that soon. So that's the lost wax, I'm sorry, that's the white metal casting area. I do all my casting in here. And you may be able to see some patterns hanging up. We're starting to make the collection again. So coming along good. Mercer's doing well. I've been enjoying my retirement, and I'm able to get a lot of things done I've been wanting to do for years. And we're going to go over here, the next station over, right on the other side of this. There's a wall right here that I built up for made out of, you can see it, I pulled it over in the picture. It's made out of some iron and T-iron actually, and a piece of galvanized. And what that is protection for the lathe, which is on the other side of this wall. When it throws up materials, it hits against this wall. It doesn't kind of contaminate this area, to at least keep it to a minimum. You don't want to contaminate the metal area here with scrap from the lathe, because it has an effect on the casting material. So that's it from this area, and we're going to move over to the lathe next door here. All right, here in the lathe area where I have my lathe set up, and going back, I've had this lathe now. I bought it brand new in 1980, and so that's 31 or so, 2 years old, and it's accurate, very accurate as the day was new. I keep it in good shape. I don't abuse it. It has a gap in there, but I've never taken the gap out, and I never will. I think it's a totally useless tool to have a gap lathe. But we'll talk about that another time. It's the first time in a long time where I had a nice bench right close by to the lathe where while you're working you can just turn around, put your parts and work. And I got to get a little better light. That's not working out too well. I've got all the collets here in the back. As you can see, all the collets there in the background over here. Right there, there's a complete set of collets by 64ths up to, from 64th of an inch all the way up to 1.125". They're hard edge collets. They're #1 top of the line collets. These are all hard edge pot chuck collets. And I have an Allura's tool holder. But anyway, I've got safety valves coming in. Here's all the castings. I've got the main body here. I got about 20 of them. And I wanted to show you that. Here's the casting. You see all the detail. Now here's, I'll show you the original. This is the original that I made up that you saw in the videos. You can see there's the little ribs on the side and a little extra detail, because that really has no effect on how it operates. But it looks good. It looks more like the Ashton, or I think it's Consolidated. That's the one. And if I show you one of super scales, you'll see. I'll compare them. Yeah, mine is a little bit bigger. A little bit bigger. But they work. You've seen them work. They've been working all summer. I tried them out, and they work beautifully. So now I'm getting tooled up to do the safeties. This is the internal part of the body with the blowdown ring, and this is a part of the valve's got to be cut off, and so on. And I have the stems, and here's one here with the stem. Stem and the spring. And I made up my own ideas. I'm going to probably go to I used on the blowdown ring, I used a 32 thread per inch. And I think I'm going to change that to 1/2 inch 36 per inch. Because believe it or not, the 4 little threads give you just a little bit finer adjustment. It may make a difference. And the same way with the top screw, that I'm going to make 36 threads rather than 32. And give that a try. This part here gets cut off. That's just a tooling extension. So when I hold it by this to turn this side, and then once this side's turned, I put it in the collet and do this, cut this off, bore it, and tap it. Done. That piece is done. The main part of the work is in the bottom part. And I've got some castings of those here. And the hex is pretty good. I've got, here's the 3/4 wrench. That's what I made it for. It fits a little bit of play in there. But Super Scale has the same thing. So I don't know when I'm going to use this part. I might decide to just whack them out of solid because I'm having some issues with the blowhole in there where the gate goes, and that's the casting guy's problem. So I'm going to see about fixing that up. But anyway, that's what's new about this part. I've got getting pretty much ready to go with these. I've got get my tooling set up, all my tools, all my procedure. I've got a little book here full of all the procedure, how to go about making them. And looks like it's going to come out pretty good. I'm going to be sending out some emails to all you guys that requested them. I got about 25 requests right now. I don't know if I have enough to fill all the orders, but I'll start with the first come, first serve, because if you get 2, you only got 10 people there. But that's just the beginning. I can get castings within 3 weeks and make some more. I'm going to tool up to do it a little bit more production. I might, believe it or not, get a small EMCO, small compact 5 lathe, runs off the computer to do it. Put them in, do everything automatically. I can do it, but if I want to do 100, that's a bit of a challenge, especially with all the interruptions I get around here with the damn phone calls. Oh, I got to lock myself in, put a chain on my leg so I don't move away from here, but I can do it. Anyway, that's from the lathe department. Now we're going to move over to here. Something interesting I'm working on, and something that I think is needed in the industry, in the live steam hobby, is leaf springs for locomotives. So I had a die one time, and now I'm building another die to punch out spring material to be able to supply people with springs, because it seems to be something that's kind of like a gray area. So we're going to move over here to the next area, the milling area, which is right over here to my left. I'll see you over there. This is going to be a punch. I got the punch press on the floor over here. It's a 4-ton little punch press, Benchmaster. And I've got a nice stand for it. I'm going to rig it all up real nice so I have it. And this punch press primarily is going to be to make leaf springs for locomotives. Now I'm going to have the widths are going to be 3/4 by 50 thousandths, 5/8 by 50 thousandths, and 1/2 inch by 32 thousandths. That's the thickness. And the lengths will be from 1.5 inches long on all the three different widths, 1.5 inches long to 7 inches long. And they will have a hole punched in the middle to clear a 1032 bolt, about a 200,000 hole in the center. I made, a little rapid prototype up here. Bring it up so you can see it. It's just paper, and here's the back side. You can see all the different lengths. And if you notice, it has a hole punched in the end. Now, on the 7-inch long springs, for example, it's going to have slots punched in the end for the sword hangers that go through. And I'm going to be able to supply builders with the complete system, meaning the springs, the little seats that go on the top of here, the sword hanger that comes through, and the flat pin, not a round pin, but the flat key that's going to go in there with an extra deep notch so that they won't fall out. And the top sleeve will just have a little bit more of a roll to it. I'll push it through the roller to give it a little bit of a curve, so when you put everything together, the tension kind of keeps everything together. And so the 7-inch spring, that will be able to have a center to center on the sword hanger of 6 inches. Now, like say this is the center of your driver, and then this drops down to your equalizer. Now, if your equalizer is too short, you'd have to make a length in that to accommodate directly underneath this. So you have to calculate it out. And this could be used, a 6-inch spring for 1.5 or even 1.6 could be used for a 80-inch driver, which is the Pacific 80, from a 75 to an 80-inch driver. Then from there you would drop down to a 6-inch or whatever, 6.5. They come, so there'll be 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, all the way up to 7 inches. And the 3/4 width generally is good for a large 1.5-inch scale engine. If you have 3/4 width frames, then you want a 3/4 inch width spring. 1/2 inch, 5/8, whatever is the width you would use them for. The 5/8 spring could be used on a trailing truck. The 1/2 inch could be used on a small engine like our 040s use those, and that's something down in the future we're going to be coming out with. I got the drawings over here and I'm starting to get the patterns together. There's a lot of work, but right now I wanted to get the safety valves, the springs, which I thought were going to be a good item. I just wanted to bring those out. And the next thing, we're going to go from this stage, we're going to go back into the pattern shop and we're going to talk about couplers. And I'm going to be getting those out too. I know there's a lot of couplers out there, but guess what? MERCER was one of the best and one of the first. So, and the price was right. Now, I don't know how much they're going to be this time around. I don't expect to sell the 10,000, literally 10,000 pair that I did sell back in 10 years ago. But there's a lot of people out there with couplers. It seems that once somebody buys a Tom B coupler, which is a good coupler, he buys this coupler, they continually buy the same couplers over and over and over from the same guy. And that's how I was able to get my couplers sold, because I started out when there wasn't many couplers around, and it came about. But I still have a following, still have people out there. I don't expect to sell the mounts that I sold before, but I will sell couplers, I know it. And I think that the safeties are going to sell as well. And one other thing I'm working on is a gauge glass, a reasonably priced gauge glass. I got to work on that a little bit. It's just going to have a round tube, none of that refracted stuff, because they don't work. Tried it, gave it a try, it just don't work. I don't want to take the chance. If you recall, I had a video where I made a refracted glass into a round glass, and we used that this running season, and we had absolutely no problems with water levels. And it seems to me when you have an engine that's good a steamer as the 1361, once that water level drops, you better stop what you're doing and get that water back up where it needs to be, because it just uses it right up. Bang, 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 bang. That engine steams so well with that Bell Pair firebox and those. Believe it or not, I was condemned for it and criticized for using stainless steel flues. But the thing is, those flues stay smooth and clean, and we hardly ever have to rot out the flues because of that, because they stay perfectly clean. And so that's it. So anyway, back to this. This is the die. This is the material here. This is 3/4 by 50 thousandths, blued and hardened spring steel. It's 1095 steel, and it's hardened to about a 45 Rockwell, 45 to 50 Rockwell. And you can't see it here in the drawing, but you know, of course, the die boom, 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 boom goes up and down. And I've got a punch here someplace that comes down, punches the hole, and at the same time, it's got to come out here far enough where on the first stage, it punches the hole and cuts it to half the length. Then it runs out to the stop back here, punches another hole, cuts it off, and there's one spring done. And you continually do that until how many you want of those, and you have to change over the die. You have to move the cutter. The punch stays where it is, the cutter moves. The only thing I'm worried about, that this is a little bit small of a die set, so the punch is out here and the cutter's over here, and that's not bad, but as the cutter and the punch get closer together, it's a little bit off center, and it might cock it a little bit, so I might have to move the whole die over, have a second stage, so that the first bunch are underneath the punch. Now, we'll have to see how it works out, but I got a bunch of cutter blades, and everything's all made up. It's all custom made. I've been working on this for about a week, and that'll get done. And we're going to have springs for locomotives. Now, the punch for doing the punch, I'll get the punches. I bought these from Diacro, which is a company that makes different kind of sheet metal working items, tooling, and I bought a Diacro because this is a tough piece to make. A Diacro, I found it on the internet, a slot and a slotting punch. So that'll punch the hole. It'll be 1/4 inch wide, 257 by 757 long. So that should be plenty big enough. Then I have another punch that's going to be 3/16 by 5/8 for the 1/2 inch, and I don't think I'll do the 1/2 inch ones because it's too thin. It gets thin on the end. I'll try them, but I'd have to make separate special sword hangers for the 3/16 wide to be 1/8 inch, and for the 1/4 inch will be 3/16, but probably a little bit heavier, just a little bit heavier. I'll probably go to a heavier thickness there, probably just under 250, like 245 or something, so it clears in there, and have the seat and all match it. So you're going to be able to get from me the springs you need for your locomotive. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, there will not be any special springs made. What I have, I'm going to have a list of what I have. They'll be on the internet on my website when I get that all set up very soon. It'll be on there, all the different sizes, and how much each individual leaf costs. So if you want a certain amount of leaves, a certain height this way, for instance, they're 50 thousandths of an inch thick, so if you need 100 thousandths, you need that many springs to make it that thick. So you add them up. You may put two together, or you might put, but you want to go in the proper increments so it comes out in a nice triangle. So you go 1.5 inches, 2, 2.5, 3. You might put all those single, and then on the top put 2 or 3 7-inch pieces, say 2 of those and 2 6-inches, and then start tapering one at a time. And if you get the slots, you have to let me know what springs you're making and what how many leaves you want to use on the top, because where is my prototype? You see what happens is the top one gets the square hole in it, but then as you go down, it only gets a slot because it's part of it, and each one gets a portion of that cut all the way down. So if you're going to use 3 of these on the top, I've got to punch 3 of these with a square hole. And if you're going to use 2 of these, I've got to punch 2 of these with a slot, and so on down the line. And if you want to use a 6-inch one, I have to know that. So you probably be able to get slots for the 7, 6.5, 6, and 5-inch, and that's it. And they have to be punched out separately, a complete separate die for that. You have to put them in manually, one at a time, boom. Turn it around, boom. And you have to set up to do it. I had it before. We did it on a K4. I no longer have the punch. I never liked it, but this die will do all the different thicknesses. I have this is what's called the guide plates here, and it slides through, and then bang, hit the first one, go up there, bang, and then just keep cutting them out and have a little counter and count them out, and hopefully it's going to work. We'll find out. Well, that's it from milling department. And we're going to go over here now to the pattern shop and talk about couplers. And I don't want to give you too many secrets about those things, but we'll be over there in a minute. Well, I'm here in the pattern shop. I always wanted to have a separated area for doing patterns because the dust is phenomenal. It just gets everywhere, the fine dust, and I can tell you right now, wood dust and metal machinery does not work. They're not compatible. But I've got separate room here to keep the dust down to a minimum. Got the door I usually close, and I haven't hooked up my vacuum system yet, but I'll get around to it. And I got a nice heavy bench to work off of. I got it's a little bit small, but for pattern making for live steam, I don't need much more than this. This room is 14 by 12. It's got about a 7.5 foot ceiling, and it's well lit. Got my nice cabinets up there. I've been adding things as I go. But anyway, working on couplers. Got the molds here. I'm not going to show them to you. I got the 2 molds here for the loop shank couplers, which will be the couplers that I'm going to bring out first. Made some improvements on them, and I had, as you know, the patterns, my original patterns are no longer in existence, so I had to rebake them, and I tried using some castings that I had. And if you've ever made a copy of a copy, you know what happens. It gets a little bit degeneration down. Plus, we have an issue here with shrinkage. So, the new, so to speak, the new generation couplers would not fit the old ones. So I had to go back and make a completely new head to the right dimensions and everything. What I did improve on, though, was this is the loop shank that I had hanging around here that I cut off of cut off the main part because I wanted just a short shank, and so I cut it off because I didn't have any. And the problem with this is, when you take a spring, 3/4 inch diameter spring, it don't fit in here. It always would hang up. So I opened this up about a 1/16 or plus amount across there. So 2 reasons. One, so that the springs could clear, and also the round part of the spring would not interfere with the radius that's in this corners, the 4 front corners. So now it's going to sit properly the way it should be, and it should be a lot better. I'm going to offer 3 kind of couplers. Loop shanks always. Long short shanks, we call them short shanks, and then front mount couplers. I'm going to actually make the little coupler for the front, and then of course my very highly popular cast iron coupler pocket, which is just a plain coupler pocket, and then I'm going to make one with the drop little shelf there to support the coupler. It's just something they had. Now you say, well, what about this coupler pocket? Well, the idea behind this coupler pocket is you could mount it to your beam this way, and it gives you 1/4 inch, like I said, a coupler here. Now, if that's too high, it's offset by 1/4 inch, so you can drop it down. So that's why it's kind of a universal mount, and we use these on a lot of different locomotives, and it worked out pretty good. But with the shelf on there, you'd have to cut the shelf off. So I'm going to make the shelf for other purposes. But I'm waiting for some more repro. You see me use that. I'm waiting for more repro to finish this up. I got to fill this up, so I got it covered because I don't want any dust to get in there. And I'll add, it's not all the way filled to the top. And then once I get the molds, then I pour the castings into those and make all my reproductions. And the core boxes are over there. And you had to make sure everything fits right. So couplers are coming. I got couplers, safety valves, springs. They're going to be the first things out of the box soon. And I mean real soon, within the next month or so. By the late winter, early spring, I should have all these things up and running. So I hope you enjoy all my videos. I finally got a nice wireless mic here, so it sounds better. And I got a professional grade camera, high definition professional grade camera. So I'm very pleased with all of it. We're having a ball. And next time you see me, hopefully I'll have some more stuff done. So thanks for watching all my videos, and we'll see you soon.